The Supreme Court has shut down one of President Trump's latest and last attempts to overturn the election, an election he clearly lost. In one short sentence, the court denied a Republican challenge to the vote in Pennsylvania. Ed O'Keefe is covering the Biden transition in Wilmington, Delaware. Ed, good morning to you. The president-elect has a lot going on these days, but has he responded in any way to this latest ruling?
Well, good morning, Tony. His campaign said overnight that the election is over and that Mr. Biden will be sworn in as president in January. The president-elect is focusing instead on how to fight the pandemic and laying out what exactly he'd do about it in his first 100 days.
Masking, vaccinations, opening schools. These are the three key goals for my first 100 days.
President-elect Biden says he wants 100 million vaccines given to Americans in his first 100 days. That's the same number of vaccines promised by the Trump administration. But Mr. Biden is warning that the president's vaccination plan could fall short without additional funding.
There's a real chance that after an early round of vaccinations, the effort will slow and stall.
The president-elect also rolled out his health team, including Dr. Anthony Fauci, who will remain in his current role and be chief medical advisor to Mr. Biden.
The road ahead will not be easy.
Fauci skipped a vaccine summit hosted by President Trump Tuesday, which featured no representatives from vaccine manufacturers. The president used the event to falsely insist he won the election.
Hopefully the next administration will be the Trump administration.
Meanwhile, Mr. Biden continues to fill out other parts of his cabinet. CBS News has learned he plans to nominate Ohio Congresswoman Marcia Fudge to run the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and Tom Vilsack as Agriculture Secretary, the same job he held during the Obama administration. Today, the president-elect also plans to introduce retired Army General Lloyd Austin as his pick for Defense Secretary. If confirmed, he'd be the first black man to lead the Pentagon. But some Democrats on Capitol Hill are skeptical of Austin's nomination because he's been out of military service for less than 7 years. A federal law requires uniformed commanders to wait at least that long before taking top civilian jobs at the Pentagon. Austin would need Congress to pass a waiver exempting him. In an op-ed in The Atlantic, Mr. Biden said Congress should do so, as it did for President Trump's first defense secretary, James Mattis. And Mark Morial, president of the National Urban League, agrees.
My encouragement is Democrats and Republicans hear it loud and clear. Don't impose a differential standard on General Austin.
Morial was one of the civil rights leaders who met with the president-elect last night to discuss his cabinet picks and what he's going to be doing about racial justice concerns. Now, if you're keeping score at home, at this point, the president-elect has appointed a dozen cabinet picks. 8 of them are people of color, 6 of them are men, and Gayle, 6 of them are women.
Thank you for the breakdown, because a lot of people, Ed, are keeping score. The White House has also weighed in on those stimulus negotiations. I know they are. What can you tell us about the latest on that?
Yeah, so the White House is injecting a little bit of uncertainty into these talks over that bipartisan plan that would cost about $908 billion in exchange for another round of $600 stimulus checks. The White House would offer $40 billion for federal unemployment insurance. That might sound good, but that's $140 billion less than what's in the bipartisan plan. That would help tens of millions of jobless Americans. Democratic leaders are calling the administration's proposal unacceptable. Then there's the defense policy bill. Usually this thing passes without any controversy. It lays out all the different plans for the Pentagon for the forthcoming year. But the president is threatening a veto. Last night, however, the House passed it overwhelmingly with enough votes to, if necessary, override a veto from the president, which could come in the closing days of his presidency. Gayle?
We should all remember people really need this money. Thank you very much, Ed.